Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
We think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty. Welcome to Radio AMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. I'm your host, Patty Schmucker, and I've been in the industry for over 40 years. Radio AMB stands for American Made Beauty, where we tell the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our segment sponsor today is AmericanMadeBeauty.com, a beauty platform designed to help consumers find beauty companies that are implementing the industry's best practices to bring you quality products and services. Go to AmericanMadeBeauty.com and find beauty products and services that meet a strict set of standards that reflect their American heritage. Want to sample some of these beauty brands? Click on the consumer page to get your free AMB box, customized with brands that you want to try. My guest today comes from a state with a rich history of native cultures, and later with a Spanish colonization, the state has some of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements in the United States. The Acoma Pueblo in the state of New Mexico, also known as the Sky City and the Taos Pueblo, have been inhabited since the year 1000. Santa Fe is the oldest continuously inhabited state capital, and even Albuquerque, New Mexico, has a couple of years on most other major U.S. cities. A beauty story from New Mexico, you ask? Well, today you'll learn that New Mexico has a rich tradition in beauty as well as wellness. In fact, every year since 1924, 50,000 New Mexicans go to watch the burning of the Zuzu Bra, or Old Man Gloom, at the Fiesta de la Santa Fe. This 50-foot-tall effigy represents the worries and troubles of the previous year. Anyone with excessive gloom can write their troubles on a piece of paper and then burn it. That's what I call a ritual of community cleansing. During our feature segment, you'll meet Mark Gonzales and learn how he got into beauty and wellness, and hear the journey from one barbershop to becoming the largest independent owner salon chain in the state, with 5 salons and a beauty school. During our segment we call In the Jar, Mark will share with us how education has become the cornerstone of his business, and how building business systems has allowed him to achieve freedom. During our segment we call Beauty That's Sold Deep, we'll explore beauty and fashion in New Mexico, where Mark and his team gets their inspiration and how they give back to the community. And finally, as you, for those of you who've been listening to us, we have a new segment at the end of the show we call Wellness. Mark will share the rich history of wellness from the New Mexico market. So let me tell you first a little bit about our guest, and we'll get started. Mark Pardo Gonzales comes from a long line of barbers, taking after his father and extended family by pursuing a career in the hair industry. Mark's first job was shining shoes at his dad's business, Pardo Beauty Shop, near the intersection of Lomos and Juan Tabo. He began learning the tricks and trades through simple observations. By the time he was a teenager, Mark was cutting his friend's hair on Monday afternoon. In 1985, the then 25-year-old Gonzales found himself running his father's barbershop, which he used as a platform to create the Mark Pardo SalonSpa chain and the Aveda Institute of New Mexico. The Mark Pardo salons are known for nurturing inner and outer beauty. Welcome, Mark. I'm delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you, Patty. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. So Mark, your dad had a barber shop there in New Mexico, and so you sort of grew up around hair from the very beginning.
Been around it all my life. He had 13 brothers and sisters. 7 of them are in the hair business, and it just was. I had an uncle who represented the United States in the 60s for world competition. So it's definitely in the genes somewhere. In my family, I have 2 sisters, and both are hairdressers, and I have nieces now and nephews, and they're in the industry.
So it's just continuing to be a family affair.
It's definitely, we even have, yes, it's always been that way.
And so when you started, it said in your story that you started shining shoes. When did you decide that you thought you had sort of the feeling for hair?
Cutting my dogs. I had poodles. It's interesting. It was like shaping to me. I don't know, somehow just the whole element of shaping kind of seemed natural for me, so I took it upon myself and pulled out some of my clippers and my dad's tools and went at it. And that's when and again, being in the environment of watching how the haircut process was going, I just kind of learned by watching and started implementing it.
And so how did it work? How did it happen that you ended up taking over the barber shop?
Well, I had been working with my dad since I was 18, fresh out of school. And barber school was only 6 months, but I knew I always didn't have enough education that I needed to. So I continued my education with other companies. My uncle, that was the competitor, he took on a Sebastian distribution for New Mexico. So I traveled with him throughout different parts of the country, so I got to see training. And my first original goal was to become a platform artist. That's what he had done, and I really, that was my goal. That's what I wanted to do, and I got to work with him a little bit at trade shows here in the state, in Texas. And when I'd go out there, I'd see Aveda at the trade shows, and they always I always marveled at their uniqueness. They caught my eye. Anyway, like I said, my goal was to be a platform artist, and one day my dad passed away, and I was either left with the dilemma to either close the business, shut it down, I had to make a decision. I waited a year before I made that decision, and through my elements of travel, I brought in Aveda. That was in 1986, a year after.
And so you decided to keep your dad's shop and transferred it into an Aveda salon.
In fact, it was the original name was Pardo's Barbershop.
Okay.
And then I took over and I called it Mark Pardo's the Barber Salon. Pardo was a nickname that he had, and I just continued to use it. And then eventually we evolved and we bought a new building down the street and went into the full salon business, and it became Mark Pardo's Salon. And
what's Pardo stand for? What does it mean?
It's a nickname. It's a Spanish name for, it really defines the color gray or neutral, like a beige.
Uh-huh.
And he got it as a kid. He was one of the younger of the 13, and they tagged the name Pardito, which is the little gray one, on him, and it just stuck. So him growing up, that was his name. They called him that, and when he started his kind of business, he just referred to that name and called it.
That's great.
Barbershop.
That's great. That's great. They had to turn something into a positive that somebody else would have taken as a negative handle, and he made it golden. So when you started working and developing the salon, what was there? How did you position it from a barbershop into a salon? Did that take a big transition?
Typical barbershop always have service on one side of the room and mirror waiting on the other side of the room. So when I brought in Aveda, the retail concepts, I had to reconfigure the barbershop. So I put the retail up in the front area of the business and the salon in the back part. So that basic change, it's interesting, changed a lot of it. And then, back in the barbershop days, we never had receptionists. It was always first come, first serve, and so we never really needed that. And in fact, my mom was my first receptionist.
Wow. So
people come in, she'd write it on a legal pad, and from that, we started creating a database, and that's how it began.
And then what was it that in the beginning, was it easy? Did running the businesses seem as easy to you as cutting hair came to you?
I always my only models were how my dad ran the barbershop, but it's for employees. It's leadership to me was the key component of business. So I became a studier of leadership, and I knew when I took on the role I had to be a different person. I couldn't be what I was before, and so communication was key. So I started with a Dale Carnegie class, knowing that would be help me get beyond where I was at the moment and to expand. And then from there, a continued focus on education and training of leadership, and of course always learning the technical aspect of it.
And what was it about Aveda that, because you had both worlds at that point, your uncle was the Sebastian distributor, and for those of you who are listening, Sebastian and Aveda sort of grew up at about the same time, and so at that particular time they were still owned by the original founders in two sort of very, very different camps in terms of the type of hairdressers that were part of those movements. You were in a key role with the Sebastian distributorship there in New Mexico. What was it about Aveda that attracted you?
Well, when I'd go do the shows and I'd see Aveda, do their presentations at trade shows, it was just very interesting how I thought the work they did was amazing. Horst was on the education road also, and just their whole format of how they had a system to what they were doing, and it just interested me. And we didn't even have a distributor in New Mexico. And finally, a guy shows up at my salon when he had a SUV, and he opens the door, and there's Aveda, and he's the new distributor, and his name was Javier. And he told me about a class in Minneapolis. It was a week-long class to learn the product line and understand the system. So it was free. Get yourself there, room and board. But I went, and I spent time there. In fact, that's where I met you.
That's right.
And you were working on Smart Care, salons managing Aveda's retention techniques, I think it was, and customers are really everything. And after I came back from that class, I saw the service wheel work at work. In fact, Horst delivered it, and I was hook, line, and sinker convinced that was the way to go. I came back, sold everything off the shelf, and I was the only barbershop that ever carried makeup, I think, because we were still in that barbershop mode. And I've been a believer since.
Right. So just sort of taking some of that story apart, it's really interesting because I had forgotten that when we first started writing the Aveda, what now is known as the Aveda Concept Salon program, we originally started it and it was called Smart Care. And you remember what the acronym stands for? What was it?
I think it was salons managing Aveda's retention techniques or retail techniques.
That's right.
And care meaning customers are really everything.
Customers are really everything, and I do. I remember now seeing those words. It's great. But that was part of that early. It wasn't just systems as far as cutting hair, but what we were doing was being able to help businesses turn their businesses into profitable entities. And so when you came back and you started doing this and started transforming the barber shop and the staff, how did you motivate the staff to understand something that was so different, not only in terms of being this wellness and Aveda and all of that kind of stuff, but I would assume that maybe some of your staff was traditional barbers? Yes,
they were. It was a difficult transition because, these are gentlemen and women, but we had women barbers too. But they knew what they knew, and this new young whippersnappers trying to change the way they were doing things, and the scalp treatment and those kinds of things. It was different because most barbershops really don't even do the shampoo with cuts. A lot of times they don't.
Right.
My dad kind of brought some of that. In fact, it's interesting. When I was growing up in the barbershop, that was one of the things before I even saw it with Aveda. His idea was to always do a scalp massage, and the shoulder massage. Sometimes they'd use the electronic vibrators, and it's still done today. But that concept kind of was familiar with me. The only difference was we used to infuse the oils with it.
And so, what would you say? What was your technique in terms of getting them engaged?
It was a process. I actually got to the point where, back then we were a commission model, and if you didn't do the process, you didn't get paid on that particular service. I had to do something because I was really adamant about it, and I just knew it would work, and it was a struggle at the beginning.
Right. And so when to bring us to fast forward to today. Today, you tell us a little bit about what the business looks like today.
Well, right now we have 5 locations. We're working on our 6th right now. That's going to be opened up in July. We have a school. I have 152 workers with us now, and they're team members, from stylists to estheticians to massage therapists, advisors, management teams. We have our HR department. We have a finance department, operations, and call center. So the business has dramatically changed from those days. And, you know, a lot of my role models were the original Aveda followers. David Wagner, Jute, Van Michael. They were always, to me, my mentors in the learning of the process of running an Aveda concept salon.
Right. And both David Wagner and Van Michael will be with us actually in the upcoming weeks. So some of your role models that have still continue, like you, to be shaping the business. When you think about when you're bringing people through the school, what are some of the things that you share with the new students sort of coming in? Do you give them a sense about where the business is going?
Yeah, I think, you know, our industry, I think it's always going to be an opportunity. I mean, they've always classified our business as inflation-proof or recession-proof, and it kind of is, because people are always going to need services. You can't, you know, in today's highly technological world and business, I mean, we can't fax somebody's head to another country, or we can't email it to another country to get that service done. So there's always going to be the intimacy of what we do. It's always going to be a need, and especially now, even more so, with technology being what it is in our world. I think that the high-touch, aspect of what we do is always going to be needed even more so. And so when I talk to students, I talk to them about more so than just the technique of what we do. That I educate them that we're in the relationship business. You know, we sell appearance, but at the end of the day, the intimacy that we have with people, the touching aspect. I mean, we're dealing with their appearance, and that's a very emotional thing. And as all relationships, trust is the largest factor, I think, in any functional, good operating relationship. And so if we look at it that way, we've got to bring a lot more than just skills, technical skills. There's a human element there that's got to be worked on too. And so we touch on that, and I really focus on letting them really understand how much influence they have on people's lives. I mean, like I said, David Wagner was an example of that. You know, he, in his Daymaker book, he always kind of led an example of a particular woman that he supported with him doing her hair. And I think we always have that impact when we look at people's lives, from the first baby haircut, you know, to the prom, to the first day of school haircut, the homecoming, the wedding. I mean, our industry is always involved somewhere. Right. In that aspect. I mean, until the time they're buried. And our industry is influencing somebody.
Exactly. And what's interesting, and you touch on a great point, because as service providers in that intimate setting, whether it's cutting hair, waxing someone, doing nails, doing a facial, you're one-on-one, often in a relatively intimate area of the business physically, but you're in that personal space that somebody has, where all of a sudden if they're allowing you to be there, it's because there is a high level of trust, and when there is a high level of trust, there's also a high level of influence that you may have. So when you plant seeds, or you give people ideas about various different things, you tend to have relatively good reception to those messages. Are you Mark? Are you finding that as you look back at this journey that you've been through over these years, is there anything that was a really key point for you in terms of in your journey of success that you look back and go, that was sort of a turning point?
You know, one of the things that we did operationally that kind of made a difference, and you know, it was using the team-based pay model. We did that in 1996, we've been doing it for many years, and it's sometimes it's a large debate in our industry what works and what doesn't work, but it's worked for us, and it's allowed us to have this growth that we've had because, there's the arguments can be made both ways, but it's still, I think, at the end of the day, the most important asset that our industry has to have inside our businesses is culture. And so culture is the most valuable asset, and when you have the people inside that environment, that culture has to be influenced, has to be shared, has to be nurtured every single day. We're in relationships with people. In fact, my priority is the people that work with me instead of the customer. But the customers definitely, we don't have customers, don't have a business. But I look at it as internal and external customers. The people that work with me have to be my priority in terms of education, providing resources and opportunities for them. Because if they don't feel they're not going to extend it to the consumer that comes in, the customer that's looking and seeking for a result.
Right. But I love what you just said, which is a really important point and a great place for us to take a little break, but that one way or another you're going to have culture. So if you don't influence, if you don't craft it, it's going to go off in another direction. So that's a great point. Mark, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how education has really been the cornerstone of the business for Mark Pardo Salon, and learn a little bit of how that's been implemented. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Shh. Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. I'm Patty Schmucker, your host on Radio AMB here on HealthyLife.net. I'm here with Mark Gonzales of Mark Pardo Salon, one of the largest independent salon in New Mexico. Mark, we've talked a little bit about how you got here, inheriting the business from your father, who was an original barber in the area, and then building it into one of the premier Aveda chains in the United States. Tell us a little bit about how you talked at the end about culture. How have you created culture, and how has education played an important role in building the business?
Well, my father always had a motto. Even growing up, I heard it, and it was, when you're green, you grow, when you're ripe, you rot. So his philosophy was that no matter what it is that you're doing, you constantly have to be on this road of improvement and learning something new about whether it's your craft, your profession, or just in yourself in general. So I've adopted that into the company, and we have it kind of permeates everything that we do. We very rarely hire the so-called experienced hairdresser. I mean, we do, but because of the school we have now, a source to, and we hire from all schools, but we like to build and train the people that we work with us. So it's an ongoing process. So that means focusing on the educators. Everybody's in that mode of always continually improving their skills. So it's that really, if I was to say what we are, we're an educational company. That's the culture that's part of the culture that exists.
And when you have people that come from outside of your school, do they need to go through sort of an indoctrination process?
Everybody comes into the Mark Pardo's organization as a technician, service technician.
Mm-hmm.
We go through what we call protégés. Protégés is our continuing education program. When you come in, you first enter. I use the analogy of, school is like college, and then protégés is like the AAA ball club, and Mark Pardo's is the big leagues, the major league.
Okay.
So it's a process of becoming and learning the skills to be part of our team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And again, that model was a lot from my mentors that I learned. Getting that training for them to be successful. I think the industry, schools, it's hard for them to give them all the skills they need to be successful. I mean, when you look at the stats, from what I have been told and read, that 80% of the people after 5 years are gone from the industry.
Right.
And that's it. I think the industry needs to be responsible for that. I think the industry is responsible for the future, and we need to do the things that the industry needs to do to help change that. But the individual's going to have to take their own accountability to their own growth path. But the industry, if we're going to grow people in the future, we need to kind of own that number a little bit. Absolutely.
Tell us your motto again that you got from your dad, because I thought that was really, really precious.
When you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot.
When you're ripe, you rot. That's great. And it is very true. And when you're seeing the opportunity to be able to bring brand new students into the school, create that culture, and then basically curate those people from the school, how are you seeing in terms of that 5-year failure rate with students that come through your school?
Well, we have a very high retention rate in our company. After 5 years, our retention rate's above 80%.
Great.
So, we're maintaining it, and we do. I like to look at it as a career, just a job, and so the things that are needed for careers are, insurance benefits, 401ks. Those help. It's not the main thing, but we offer things like that, and then the continuing education.
Right. But, and we had Stephen Moody on the show, and for those of you who are not in the profession, for consumers, I think one of the things you're hearing here, you heard Mark talk early on in the first segment about that turning point in his business was when he went to a team-based salary system, right, Mark? Is that what you mentioned?
Right.
And so what that means is that rather than people just being paid on commission, they actually have a salary. Now, there's incentives to be able to make more money as a result of producing more work, but what it allows a business to do, a salon to do, is to provide insurance, to provide a 401k, to provide the kinds of things that people in all other industries get, but in our industry is really rare. And so when you look at this story, Mark Pardo Salon, brands in New Mexico, a state that, is relatively small in population, but that you are really actively modeling what a successful team-based business can be about. I think that in and of itself, based on your location, is really an incredible success. Congratulations on being able to do that.
Well, thank you. I'm always a believer in education. Even ourselves as in the management team and the leadership team, it's got to be imparted on them also. We have right now we're working with a company called Coastal Architecture, and it was something that we work on for all the staff in terms of really building their own professional resourcefulness to contributing to the leadership of the company. The way I look at it, everybody who belongs to the team is a leader. They have elements that they can contribute to making the business that much better.
And that's such a very important role. Every member of the team is a leader. In their own individual way, they're a leader. That's a great motto, and by you as the head of the organization, conveying that concept, I'm sure it's really empowering to every member of your team.
Yes. In fact, one of the things that we kind of try to empower people is just the simple elements of that what their decisions matter. And so, from strategies, the concept that I've got is, when you have to make a decision or an action to take place, is my decision or action going to be good for the customer? Is my decision and action going to be good for the company? And does my decision and action make financial sense? So I want everybody to be empowered by being able to make that decision. So if there's a situation that arises, they don't have to wait for a manager to come back and make a call, because the customer's right there and they need a solution and they need an answer. Each individual should be empowered enough to represent the company and represent the brand enough that their decision matters for that customer, because the customer's right there in front of them with a challenge or a need that has to be met.
Absolutely, and how amazing for a worker to be in that position, knowing that they have the ability to do that. So, say those three. What are the three factors that you provide empowerment for your people? Is the decision and action I'm going to take good for
the customer?
And the second one?
Good for the company. And last one, does it make financial sense?
Does it make financial sense? Okay. And that gives them the framework so that in the moment they have the ability to take care of whatever need the customer there in front of them has. Really powerful information. All right, well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about how beauty and fashion in New Mexico we'll explore a little bit about beauty and fashion in New Mexico and talk a little bit about where Mark and his team gets their inspiration and how they're giving back to the community. So stay with us. We will be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm Patty Schmucker, and I have the honor today to have one of the real success stories of our industry, Mr. Mark Gonzales from Mark Pardo Salon out of New Mexico. So, Mark, we talked earlier about how you've grown this business into 5 locations, a 6th one to open this year, and a beauty school. Is there an author or someone that you're studying right now that's really been influential to you right now?
Well, the one that really made the change for my thinking about becoming the business that it is now, that book was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Okay.
That was kind of the catalyst for me. I mean, I was that person in that book, wearing all the hats and doing everything that needed in the business and doing the work.
Uh-huh.
And I was the largest producer, and I read that book, and it changed the way I did things, and it changed my systems. And that book was about systems, and I have this, they say the truth will set you free. My philosophy is the system will set you free.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that was a part of it. And then another one inside this leadership component was tribal leadership.
Uh-huh.
And there's a company that represents that. They have a company that they do consulting with, and it's called Culture Architecture, and that's been influential in our company too. Okay,
all right, great. So we'll have some of those links on our website when we do this radio recap. We'll give you our listeners links to those. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about when beauty and fashion in New Mexico. Is there a style? Is there something that's different than, say, beauty and fashion that we'd see in L.A. or New York?
Well, when you look at the fashion influence, I mean the influence that comes to America comes from the East and West Coast, and that's where it initiates. And of course, being in New Mexico, it always gets here a little later. We finally get it, but it shows up eventually, and we get it from the magazines, and just like everybody else gets their cues from. But it takes it. I really think it takes the business, the professional, to really initiate it for the consumer, because people get comfortable in fashion, and they get until somebody else really presents it to them, and the consumer will always seek it. So they're going to go to the leader, and if the leader's been able to provide that look for them, it's going to always be the source. But I think sometimes in a slower moving culture like New Mexico, we sometimes have to initiate it and kind of put the spark in their ability to see the things that they can achieve in their look, whether it be hair color or makeup or new styles, new shapes.
Right. And so how do you keep your team inspired? How do you stay inspired, and how do you keep your team inspired?
Well, we have continuing education that's ongoing. We have two. In fact, we have 2 major trainings that we do every year, and they're tied to the releases: the spring-summer release and the fall-winter release, and that's everybody's responsibility. But during the course of the year, we have continuing education on new trends of color or services in the spa, new facials, everything that's new and up and coming. We put in front of our staff right away just so they're prepared. Because the consumer is going to get the cues, like I said, magazines, internet, information passes so quickly anymore that the consumer is aware of everything. And so we've got to be the source to that,
right?
The solution to that.
And so when you do the spring, summer, and then fall, winter releases, what does that look like? Is it just a release to your staff, and how does it, or does it trickle down to your clients?
The staff, and then we tie in marketing to that, and photo shoots that are connected to that. So it becomes our personalized collateral to all the marketing efforts that we do, billboards or print, any internal images. So it represents our brand.
Right. And it must be, I can just imagine as far as the staff, do they get really excited and jazzed about participating in this type of education?
Yes, because it's fresh, it's something new. They have something new to bring to the customers. And, of course, being a hairdresser, we always want to try it first on ourselves.
Right.
And so it always, that's where we're sometimes we're the menu.
Right.
In terms of what's available.
The live models walking around the salon modeling the newest looks in hair and makeup. Right. And that's, that is one of the things I think I mentioned earlier. I had Stephen Moody of the Sassoon era, and really today still one of the most amazing icons in our industry now with L'Oreal's. No, he's with the Wella Group. But he said on our show that beauty is a team sport. It's football, not golf. And being able to have everyone working together and allowing for the customer to come in and have that team experience is in of itself a part of creating that unique relationship with the customer. So having people walking around the salon advertising the various different capacities that you have, as you said, I love what you just said. They're the walking around menu of services that are available. Now, I know you guys do a lot in the community, not only just in terms of being first as far as influencing fashion and that type of thing in your market, but also giving back to the community. I know that you guys have just in the last few years donated over $50,000 in community programs. Tell us one of the most important things that you've been doing with regards to giving back to the community.
Every year we do a fashion show that contributes to, we're a cornerstone partner with United Way. And so the company's always been committed to focusing on three elements, and that's women's issues, children's, and education of the both, and how it pertains to their livelihood. I mean, it's something that's important to us. I remember Horst always saying one time, that, women were put in leadership roles because they're the nurturers of the world. And I kind of think that that's true, and so, I believe that to be true, and I think that, so, the community has allowed us to be in business for over almost 45 years. Mm-hmm. So I really feel it's a responsibility for our business to give back to the community that's made us sustainable for that long. And so those are the things that we participate in, so it's an ongoing process. We'll work with the school programs and do school supply drives. We'll work on fashion shows. We'll work with Ronald McDonald House. We do a thing called Mommy Makeovers. So every year, throughout the year, we're doing things that benefit those social groups.
Right. I'm going to make an observation because we've only got a minute left before we take this segment. We close this segment. One of the things that our common mentor Horst would say is to be come from a servant heart. And I have to tell you, Mark, to see you this many years later and to hear your story and to hear you talk about the fact that the community has allowed you for over 40 years to make a contribution. It really is, you're the model of what Horst would have wanted in his vision of someone who really comes from a servant's heart. Thanks for all that hard work that you've done. All right, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the rich history of wellness in the New Mexico market. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Well, welcome back for our final segment as we wrap up today's show with the segment we call Wellness. I'm Patty Schmucker, your host, and you're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm here with Mark Gonzales of Mark Pardo Salon in New Mexico, 5 salons, soon to be 6, and a school. And Mark, I opened up the show by talking about the rich heritage of New Mexico. It's an area of the United States that I think is one of the most beautiful. And I think people have differing concepts about what New Mexico is all about. But wellness and spirituality has been threaded into the history of New Mexico for a long time. Tell us a little bit about what stands out in your mind when you think about wellness and New Mexico.
Well, Mexico's always been rich in the history of natural healing. I mean, New Mexico, there's a Spanish term that's called curanderos, and that just basically means the healers. Mm-hmm. So, and they use a lot of natural remedies, plants, flower extracts, things that are grown around here for medicinal purposes, and then Native American culture is large here too. So the blend of those two cultures have created a lot of unique elements of healing and nurturing. A lot of people are familiar with the smudge stick. I mean, that's something that exists here to remove evil spirits from the space.
And for those that don't know, explain the smudge stick.
Smudge stick is a combination of sage that's tied up together and bundled up, and it's burned, it's dried, and then it's used to clear a room from that energy that exists. Whether in terms of whatever that's needed at the moment. It's an ancient tradition. It's used in the Hispanic culture and Native American cultures. I've seen it used many times. And again, growing up, it was our medicine. The medicine I remember taking was in baby food jars, because it was, my mom would store spices or make teas when we were sick, and That's how I knew medicine to be when I was growing up.
Well, and it makes sense to you. It makes better sense to me too. Why Aveda really resonated with you, growing up with your mom, and that blend of the Native American culture and natural healing from the Spanish community. It would make a lot of sense that Aveda's Ayurvedic herbal approach to living just made sense to you as well.
It did. It really did. I mean, Aveda's always made sense to me ever since I started with them and everything that they do.
Right. And it was the product and that concept, but also the business style. Now, there are various different parts of New Mexico that have I know some specific traditions. For example, I know that one of the strongest Ayurvedic schools in the entire United States is right there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the Ayurvedic Institute with Dr. Vasant Ladd.
Yes.
And that's very close to you, right?
It's from our original location. It's about 4 blocks away.
Okay.
City blocks. And I've actually met with him. I knew from talking to him that he's actually Horst had worked with him apparently at one time with developing and some of the concepts in the products.
Yes.
We've had people in our staff that have cross-trained, from his concepts. Some of our massage therapists have gone to school there. He's world-renowned. What he brings is a whole new element of what combining with existing healing methods in our region.
Well, and what I love about Vasant is that he is authentic. And when you look at the various different people that have taken and blended other traditions, I remember meeting with him one time with my skincare brand, Dosha Care, and he said, I've spent my whole life trying to make Ayurveda hip and cool, and with Dosha Care and Horst with Aveda, you guys have made Ayurveda hip and cool, and he loved that. He just had this great sense of humor. But that has really, have you felt that with regards to students that have gone to school and learned more about Ayurveda and then have come into the salon and been able to apply that in your salons as well?
Yes, and I think Aveda is, making a reconnection to that. I think that it might have got lost for a little bit. I think they're going back to the roots of now the Tolasara.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if it works, I mean, plus it's the only really to engage the consumer in what the point of difference is.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I don't even know about that.
I mean, like the chakra journey.
Okay.
Taking the aromas and looking through the shapes and the colors and identifying what chakra needs to be balanced in terms of selecting a product. It's done in our treatment rooms. It's done just on the average retail component of sales. It's definitely playing a difference, because it's the element where we engage the consumer in selecting a product that's going to work for them. Balance has always been an element of Ayurvedic and philosophy and concepts. So using products inside the service that create that, the huge point of difference, because now the consumer is more aware of what's happening and why the recommendations are happening and the choices that they make for themselves.
Right. So this is a huge wellness aspect, and that is, for those of you that don't know, and Mark, guide me through this, but the chakras are, in the Ayurvedic tradition, those energy points that start at the top, start at the base of the spine, and there are 7 points that go up the body to the last one being at the very top of the head. And having balance of these chakras is what helps the body to be in alignment. Am I describing this properly?
Very accurately.
Okay.
So that element is what's it works.
And how does aroma play a part in creating that balance?
How is aroma? The whole basis for aromology is based on that element of the study of sciences of learning how it has impact on the body. I mean, our senses are so in tune. I mean, the body reacts to senses. I mean, I always use the analogy that think of Thanksgiving. When you smell the aromas, it's the pumpkin pie and the turkey cooking in the oven, your body has a reaction to start salivating. Mm-hmm. It's a physical reaction. And there's so many, a lot of aromas nowadays are made synthetically that it has a negative response sometimes. But when we smell natural, it kind of has a positive effect because it's soothing to the body. The body can recognize it and start working with it and balancing.
Right. I know one of the things that I remember Horst would teach us is that natural aromas are to the nose what music is to the ears. If it is natural, if it comes from a true botanical source and it's properly harvested, our bodies can actually register the nutrition and it has a response to it, and that's part of what creates that balance.
One of the things that I always remember Horst saying, whatever we do and how we deliver our services and how we deliver our products is doing it with pure intention.
Right.
And when I look at that element, if we're in the relationship business and delivering what we do, providing that service and that experience, pure intention is another key point of difference. The intention of the product being developed the way it is, and us as human beings also, impacting other people, the influence we have on other people's lives. If we do it with that pure intention, it becomes it strengthens the relationship.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have an opportunity to reconnect with you and to hear your journey and your success. If somebody wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, they can contact, the best way is our website, markpardo.com. They can leave an email there, or the AvedaNM.com.
Okay.
So that's for the school website.
Okay, AvedaNN.com. Great. Mark, thanks again for being with us today. We really enjoyed listening to your story.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Next week, join us to learn how Carrie Davis Duffy has become one of a resource for business owners in getting their staff educated. And in that show, we're going to introduce a new guest host, Mr. Dean White, who's been a good friend for many years and has an amazing voice. I think you'll love to listen to him, and he's a great personality. So join us next week. I'm Patty Schmucker. Thank you for listening to Radio AMB, where we think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.